Welcome to Aligned Sacred Alchemy, a space to share stories to uplift, energize, and spark your awakening in remembering your unique brand of magic. We talk about all things energy, ethical, healthy, and inclusive manifesting, being in a state of receiving, and how to courageously manifest on purpose to live the life you are truly capable of living. Join me for each episode as we tap into your inner guidance and inspiration from conversations that we have to remember why we are all here and how we get to honor ourselves so that we can all enjoy our journey along our soul's path. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Aligned Sacred Alchemy with me, your host, Raspreet Sagu. As a soul alignment coach, my hope is to help you align with your unique creation process by blending the energetic alchemy that's required to create change with practical, grounded, soul-aligned action that creates rapid results. My intention is to help you supercharge your ability to actualize your desires and live your life in and on purpose, so you can be experiencing and living those dreams rather than just dreaming about them. Are you ready to play? Let's begin. In this episode, I'm talking about creating revolution, creating a legacy that you get to leave. So with one of the projects that I am currently working on, I had very different intentions when I first began this project. And through the evolution of me and my own alchemical transformational process that I have been going through over the last 12 months or more, I realized that there needed to be an evolution that gets to happen in other aspects of my life. So it's going to be showing up in my work, with my career, with my relationships, and so much more. And I invite you into just pausing in this moment and reflecting on all the things that you keep saying that you want and checking in with yourself whether those are the same things that you still desire. Are those desires really lighting you up, or are you just doing it because you committed at one point that you wanted to do it? You committed to yourself, or maybe you committed to somebody else. Are you still being lit up by those? Because if the answer is no, then it's not a big deal. That's information that you get to use so that you can refine your desires. You can refine what you're doing so that you can create the alchemical process that happens so that those things can actualize. Because here's the thing, if it's a desire that you are not completely embodied with, it's not lighting you up, or it's not one of your desires and you're doing it just to satisfy somebody else's needs or accommodate somebody else, then chances are it's going to be very difficult for you to actualize that. And this is where I see so many people tripping up on their manifestation. And when I'm working with clients, this is something that regularly happens during client sessions, is as we get deeper into it, as my clients experience more clarity with defining what they are here to do, their purpose, their soul path, the thing that only they can do. They start to understand and they start to see very clearly all the places where they have been trying to do things because it's been projected at them. It has been an expectation of others, but they've been so conditioned into it that they've kidded themselves over the years that it's their own desire. So this is what I would love for you to explore right now. What is your legacy? What is the legacy you want to leave long after you've gone? And so if we circle back round to this project that I was working on, at the time when I initiated this project, there was a different legacy that I wanted it to leave, a different energy and intention that I had behind that. And as I was working on it, now I started to see things differently. My perspective had changed. I'd grown as a person. I'd evolved. My desires had evolved. And this is what tends to happen when you're going through your transformational journey. You're going to have different phases of your transformation. You're going to have different seasons of your life. And in one season, you may want one thing. And in another, that thing may not light you up anymore. Or you may move on to something else. This is an ongoing process. And one of the things that you must make peace with if you want to continue along the path of sustainable manifesting, sustainable conscious creation, is this: it gets to evolve. It gets to evolve as you evolve. And it's okay for you to change. How many of you growing up have been accused of being fickle because either you didn't know what you wanted or because you kept changing your mind? How many of you feel guilty, or you feel like, oh, I don't stick to something long enough, or I'm always flitting and moving between these things? And yes, whilst on one level, if you're doing that from a place of, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to try everything and then just see what happens, and you're kind of manifesting by default, it's not intentional, it's just the way it's happening, then I can see why that may be a problem. However, if you're doing it from a place of awareness, from embodied intuition, trusting the process, trusting yourself, knowing what questions to ask to activate that intuition, and then following that intuition, even when it's not convenient, even when it's not what you want to hear. Because one thing I know about intuition and following that intuitive guidance, it's not always what you want to hear. It's not always convenient. It doesn't show up, or you don't get to hear what you want to. It will be the truth. And the thing with intuition is that it will be the truth in that moment. And so in that moment, you can ask, is this thing for me? Is it for right now? And you may get a yes. And then maybe a week later, maybe a month later, maybe a few months down the line, because you've evolved, things have changed, your energy has evolved, it's changed, you've alchemized into something and someone else, you've evolved, and you ask that same question, and you may get a no. The trick here is to be able to deepen your trust so much that you can discern between when it's resistance or when it's awareness and your intuition, when it's your fears that are coloring what you're saying, what you're doing, and that voice in your head that says to you, I don't know if you should do this. I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't think you should do this, because if you did, then this might happen or that might happen. Because those could be your fears and that little voice in your mind, which is the logical voice, and where logic lives, intuition cannot exist. Write that down. Where logic lives, intuition cannot exist. There's no room for intuition where there is logic, because intuition is so far away from logic that it's awareness that your mind cannot possibly conceive. And that is the beauty of it. And that is also why you have to get to a space where you trust it, where you trust your intuition, because only you know what you know. You are the only expert in your life, not a coach, not a leader, not a healer, and not anyone else that you may have been conditioned into thinking knows better for you. And that's why it's so important that even if you do have a coach or guide or someone that you're working with or family members or whatever that may be in your life, that you're not giving your power away to them to make your decisions for you, because nobody can use their own intuition to make the correct decisions and choices for another person. Even if you're a parent and you think you know better for your kids, well, guess what? You don't. They know, even if they're infants, even if they're not verbal, even if they're not talking, they still know, their soul still knows why it chose to be here at this time. Your soul knows what it desires and what it requires for your journey here on this path. And so you need to start tapping into that energy and trusting that energy. And I have yet to meet anyone whose upbringing, their caretakers from when they were younger, whoever that may be, maybe their grandparents, maybe carers, maybe it was their teachers or family members, other family members, who have actually said to them, hey, what would you love to do? What lights you up? What feels better for you? And if that's not working the way your brothers or sisters or somebody else is doing it, then how would you like to do it? I mean, how many of you can honestly say that that's the kind of upbringing you've experienced growing up? As opposed to, no, you should do this because this is the way everyone else is doing it, and that's the way you get success. It's been proven time and time again because your cousins did it, or this person in your industry is doing it, or your competitors are doing it and they're having success with it. And so what we do is we start defining our life, our path, our purpose, our manifestation style based on what we're being shown or being modeled by other people. But the trap here is when you're doing that, you're giving your power away and you're not actually using that guidance, that wisdom that is present within your soul for your unique soul's path. And I don't know about you, but I am so tired of watching brilliant people giving their power away to tired manifesting practices or mindset changing and visualization, and then still not experiencing the lasting change that they truly desire. I'm tired of brilliant people doing all the things they should be doing and still not getting anywhere fast, still not manifesting, living their bigger vision. Maybe they get little bits and pieces, and maybe you recognize yourself in this, where you might manifest the smaller things, but that big thing, that big desire, that true heartfelt desire that you had as a child growing up as to what your life would be. Just take a moment right now, listeners, and I'm inviting you to reflect on this even after you've listened to this show. Spend a little time. Maybe it's journaling, maybe it's typing, maybe it's verbally processing this with somebody else that you can engage in this kind of conversation with. But spend some time on reflecting on this. What was that dream that your younger self had for you growing up? Like, what was that thing that your younger self was so excited about being when you grew up? What did you absolutely adore? And what were you looking forward to about growing up? Where did you see yourself as an adult? You know that phase in a child's life where they're so excited for every birthday because the older they get, the more grown up they are, and they're rushing into trying to be a grown up because they think when they're grown up they get to do all these amazing things. What was that for you? And if you just look at your life now, the life that you're living, does it fulfill the dreams, the aspirations, the desires, the excitement of your younger self? And if it's a no, I don't want you to judge yourself. I don't want you to go into, oh my God, I'm such a failure. And, let's not get into that conversation and that energy. But this is more about information. This is extracting information for you. You're just using the information to assess where you are right now so you can go into the alchemy of your transformation, where you really want to be. And this is what I started to realize was lacking in the self-development industry, in the healing community, is a space where you become your own guide, where you redefine your life and your entire approach to consciously creating a life that you would love to live. There was a gap because I used to see, and I still do, loads of places, modalities, experiences, masterclasses, free workshops, paid workshops, books, all of the things that guide you into a framework that's been successful for many people. I see so many coaches creating some really robust, amazing programs and whatever else where they're guiding you through things. And what I'm not seeing so much of are spaces where you are being taught to become your own guide, where you are being taught to create your own frameworks to consciously create the life that you wish to lead, where you are being shown how to find the little treasure and all the evidence from your life, from the way that you be, from the way that you show up in the world, the things that you are already doing, because that is your energetic signature, and how you get to amplify that. All your gifts that you naturally do and be every single day of your life, but they are so much a part of you that you don't see it. I don't see many spaces like that. And so the idea was sparked. The desire in my heart was planted to start a revolution. And this is a start of not just another training or a program, but a start of a movement. It's a revolution for souls who are ready to have freedom and get on their soul's path of manifesting with and on purpose. My intention is for you to activate your legacy, where you get to redefine your life and your entire approach of consciously creating that life, where you get to be held in a portal and be in your mess, be in your frustration, be in your scarcity and your lack. And that's okay. And you can be working on that as you get stretched to the edges of your comfort zone and move through that conditioning that is holding you back. I'm starting a revolution where you get to be held in a space of nourishment, of support, of powerful guidance that helps you to activate that inner guide within you as you navigate your way through all your challenges and get to the other side. Because divine sacred souls, when you get to the other side of that transformation, you will see why all those things that you have been trying before to manifest your dream life have not been working for you. It will become so clear what you need to do that is in total alignment to you, your soul, that is aligned with your desires, your specific vision, and how you can honor all of that, your uniqueness, your energetic circuitry, your desires, the way that you are wired for success, honoring your own intuition and energy flows, so you can adjust the action that you need to be taking on a daily basis and operate from a space of aligned action. Not just any old action, but soul-aligned action. And all of that is what gets you to go beyond just doing the mindset work, just doing the old mechanisms of manifesting and going through the motions of manifesting or conscious creation, because that's the way that you've been taught how to do it. But this is what's going to get you into that flow of manifestation for you. And there's an ebb and there's a flow. You get to honor when you're in a flow phase and when you're in an ebb phase. You know what to do when you're in that ebb phase. Because in that ebb phase, people start panicking because things aren't showing up, or, it feels like you're having a giant purge and your relationships are exploding, your finances may not be going so well, and all of this stuff is happening. But it's actually one of the gifts. It's where you get to sit with your shadows. It's where you get to reconnect to that aspect of you that is in the lack, that is in the scarcity, rather than trying to move away, eliminate, or get rid of it, which is what a lot of people have been taught to do. But this is where you get to honor all of it, all of you, and know that you are whole and complete even with the lack and scarcity, and that you can be a hot mess with your lack, with your scarcity, with all your hang-ups, with all your limitations and all your limiting beliefs and everything. And you do not need to fix those before you can have your stuff physically manifest for you. That's the possibility that I'm inviting you to. That is the revolution that I am sparking, where you get to activate and embody your own brand of magic, where you get to create a legacy that your future generations get to benefit from when you've moved on to your next adventure as a soul. That legacy is going to look different for each and every single one of you, because it is so individual to you. And it is so dependent on your soul's path, why you are even here on this planet. And here's the kicker. When you step onto your soul's path, when you know how to use your own intuitive abilities in a grounded way, where you start to recognize that intuitive voice and distinguish between your intuition and your fears and your resistance, that's where you get to walk on the path that is for you, not a path that has been defined by others. Not by measuring your success, comparing yourself with all the other people that you have been trained to compare yourself with. Not from a space where you're trying to please everyone, bending over backwards, compromising your own desires while you try to accommodate everybody else, and then feel so depleted that you don't even have energy to manifest what you want, but from a place of total freedom, where you are liberated from the chains of needing to do things just like everyone else, because you've been led to think that that should also be your measure of success. So what I would love for you to contemplate, at least for the next week, so you can start seeing what that is for you. What is your legacy? What is the legacy that you want to be remembered for? What is the legacy that you want to leave your children or your loved ones? How do you want to be remembered when you're long gone from this planet? What would you love to have, be, experience in this world that creates and generates more for everyone else? And it doesn't need to be that I need to be of service. This can be purely selfish, and I'm inviting you, be selfish here. What do you get? Because I promise you, when your desires are actualized, your deepest, your heartfelt desires, not the desires other people have planted in your minds for you, but your heartfelt desires, when they get to show up, it changes the planet. So this isn't about, oh, I want to be a contribution. I want to do this for that person. I want to be able to be a philanthropist. I want to go to Africa and feed the starving children. It can be all of those things, yes, for sure. But for this contemplation, I'm inviting you to think of what are your heartfelt desires? What is the legacy you wish to leave? And what is the legacy that is possible when you actualize your desires? And just to illustrate this with a little example, is when I was a child, I always dreamt of running and managing my own business. But everyone around me would say, oh, it's really difficult. You know, you shouldn't have your own business. It's really difficult. Times are hard. And you're a woman. You're going to grow up. You're going to want something where you can just unplug and still be able to do your family life. And that's going to give you the freedom to do that. And so from a very young age, I had this conditioning, even though I was a rebel, you know, I was a feminist. But I had the conditioning that was this silent voice in my head. It wasn't so silent. It was there. It was this undercurrent energy that was actually driving me, that used to show up in every decision, even as a feminist, that I would make. Anytime there was an opportunity to have a business, to have my own, to have the autonomy that my soul craved, that I craved, something would fall through. But eventually I chipped and I chipped and I chipped away at it. And I was presented with an opportunity to have my own business. And at the time I took it. And for those of you who don't know, before I started Divine Sacred Soul, I actually had a baby swimming business. And before I had the baby swimming business, I was actually a practicing pharmacist. During my career as a pharmacist, I absolutely loved it. It's not that I didn't. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I loved helping people. And towards the end, it was becoming less and less fulfilling. I knew I craved that autonomy. One of the things I absolutely hated about being employed, and especially as a pharmacist back then, was having to ask permission to have a holiday. So we couldn't just plan things off the cuff. I needed to have my holidays sanctioned. I needed to make sure that there was locum cover. So it became a task in and of itself if ever we needed to go away on holiday. And I didn't love that. I wanted freedom. I wanted to choose my own times, when I show up for work, how I show up for work, how long my holiday is, without somebody else telling me, oh, sorry, you can have a week, but you can't have 2 weeks. Well, you can have this week in December, but you're not allowed to have the Christmas weeks. That was just really used to be my pet peeve. I don't like to be controlled. I'm not a person that loves control. I don't know that there is anyone that actually consciously does love control. But for me, freedom, for me, liberation, autonomy, the choice to do things is very important to me. I may choose to do that, but when I'm backed into a corner and I'm being coerced to do something, I don't love that. And so I had this opportunity to have this baby sewing business, and I went for it, and I had nothing but trouble. Throughout the whole thing, it was nothing but grief, challenges, and a lot of tears from the start. And then, interestingly, all the challenges that I was facing in that business are the very reason I got into doing Divine Sacred Soul. So, nothing's ever a waste. Nothing's ever a waste, people. Don't ever think that it's a mistake, because there's always a reason. But that desire to have this business and, have that freedom and that autonomy, it was still there. Even though this business was miserably failing, there was challenges left, right, and center that I was experiencing. And I moved through them. I got myself into a space, because I'm resilient. I got myself into a space where actually things were starting to shift. But guess what happened at that point? I decided I wasn't enjoying it. It actually wasn't for me. I didn't love it. It was a franchise that I was a part of. And as part of a franchise, for those of you who don't know, you're still limited in terms of you have to operate within the confines of your franchise agreement. So now I had moved from being employed to being a franchisee. And yes, I had moved up the scale in terms of my freedom and autonomy, and I still was accountable and answerable to other people, to the brand, to how I do things, how I allocate my time for admin work and all of that. It was all still controlled by somebody else. And I didn't love that. And so through that, and because of my desire and the legacy I wanted to leave for my child at the time, when I just had Gia, my baby girl, I wanted to leave a legacy for her, to show her that anything was possible. And I also wanted to be a role model for her, to show her that you can work, you can play, and you can have it all. And there can be a balance of things. You get to enjoy what you do. You do not need to be trapped into a job that makes you feel miserable just because it's paying the bills. There's more to life than that. That's what I wanted to model for her. I wanted to make sure that she grew up watching a strong mother who was exploring all the possibilities that life had to give and being brave and having the courage and the discipline and the self-commitment to do what makes her happy. And so I let that business go. It was the hardest decisions, one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make in my life was to let that business go. Something that I had plugged in so much time, effort, energy. I'd invested so much of my money into this, my savings, and I was just about to let it go. And you can imagine the kind of conversations I was having with my friends and family who were all saying to me at the time, Ras, at least break even. Carry on for a little while. Sell it on when, you've made a bit of a profit, when you've recovered your investment. And in my heart, I knew that felt heavy. I couldn't think of anything worse. And for the first time in my life, I trusted my intuition over what my husband was telling me, or my friends and my family, the people that I trusted the most trusted advisors, my coaches at the time were telling me, do both at the same time. Do your Divine Sacred Soul and do it alongside that business. I went to healers. I went to have sessions to do future readings. I did all of it. And every single person that I spoke to said the same thing. Do it alongside each other. Don't just let it go. But my intuition was telling me something else. My intuition was saying, drop it. My head was saying, no, make the money back, then drop it, because this is a substantial amount of money. And, oh my God, this is going to be another thing that you failed at. You cannot fail, because what's everyone going to think about you? That's what my mind was telling me at the time. But my heart, my intuition, my awareness, whatever you want to call that, was just asking me to trust that inner voice, to trust that guidance. And I did. And you know what happened? I let that go. And I moved into doing Divine Sacred Soul full time. Within less than 3 months, I had been nominated for an award. I won. That year, I won. In fact, that year, I went on to win several awards. And I was up against people who had been in the industry for many, many years. I remember rocking up to the first award ceremony and looking and talking to people, interacting with all these amazing nominees, and thinking to myself, there's no chance in hell that I will be awarded with anything. I'm such a newbie. These people have been doing it for like 10, 20 years, and they're doing such amazing things. And yet, once again, my intuition was that I was going to win something. And so when my name was called out, I was almost prepared. In fact, I was handing my mobile phone and my bag to my husband who was with me because I knew I needed to get up, or at least intuitively, I felt that I was going to be called. So I was preparing myself, and I caught myself in that moment. I caught myself in the middle of this award ceremony, preparing myself to go up on stage. And I was thinking, whoa, if anyone's looking at me or watching me right now, they're going to be, what does she think? She's really sure of herself. And you know what? I was. And so when my name was called, even though I was shocked, and I was shocked because I didn't expect that someone who's been in the business for just 3 months could have won. Not a runner-up, but the Platinum Award. And I wasn't surprised, because my awareness had told me all along, you've got this, Ras. You are good at what you do. But it was that human part of me that needed the validation, that was seeking the validation. Because I needed, back then, at that time, I needed to know that I had proof for my family, who didn't love that I had left a career like pharmacy, a lucrative career like pharmacy, a respectable career like pharmacy, to firstly open up a baby sewing business, and then, to make matters worse, after a year, decide that I was going to pack that in to do some witchy woo-woo thing, which they just didn't understand. The moral of the story here is that when you know how to use your own intuitive abilities in a grounded way, you walk on a path that is meant for you. And when you're walking along that soul's path, it's much easier to manifest. Through my initial desire of wanting that autonomy has led me to where I am now. It's led me to connect with the most amazing people all across the planet. It's led me to connect with people who are doing such phenomenal and inspirational work on the planet. My clients, amazing people. I get to have expansive conversations with them every single day. And sometimes I catch myself and I think, I should get paid to do this. I mean, how does it get any better than that? When you get paid to do what you absolutely love to do, that you would do even if you weren't being paid for it, you would do it. That people actually want to pay you for that. That to me is total freedom, where you get to live life on your terms, from a place of liberation, from a place where you are liberated from the need of doing things just like everyone else and fitting into a nice little tidy box just so they feel safe. So I'm creating this movement, a movement that's going to help people become their own guide and redefine the life that they are currently living. And my intention with this is that I get to teach you to deepen your relationship with your intuition and activate a level of trust within that allows you to make intuitive decisions as you take your steps towards creating a life that truly lights you up. Because what I know, and here's what I would love for you to take away from today's conversation, is that the more you learn about your own energy, how it circulates, how it flows within you, you start to realize that you simply cannot do it the way that everyone else is doing it. You cannot manifest the way that others are manifesting. Even the people that you personally resonate with and love to learn from, let alone the people that you haven't had the best experiences with. That's why I'm inviting anyone who's listening, anyone who's willing to listen and to take this on board, to approach manifesting in a completely different way than you've ever learned it before. In a way that's unique to you. It's aligned to you, your desires, your energy, and from that, create your own framework for manifesting that combines your purpose and your intuition. And then you ground it all so it fits in with your lifestyle. So if this is resonating with you and you're curious, you want to learn more, you want to find out more, head over to my Instagram page, my Facebook page. Come hang out with me in my community on my email list, because I'm going to be sharing a lot more of what this revolution, this movement is going to look like, and how you can start your own revolution or join the one that I'm creating if that feels good to you. So you'll find me on Instagram under the handle at raspberry_sagu. And if you want to find me on Facebook, you'll find me under Divine Sacred Soul. If you want to reach out to me, head over to www.divinesacredsoul.com and I'd be happy to hear from you. That's all today from this episode of Aligned Sacred Alchemy with your host, Raspberry. I hope that this has been a contribution. I hope that you go away and you contemplate all the things and you have your awarenesses. And if you do, reach out to me, Instagram me, let me know what's going on. Email me, find a way to drop me a line and let me know what magic has sparked for you. What possibilities have sparked for you? What awarenesses, what light bulb moments have sparked for you as you contemplate what your legacy is? That's all for today. I look forward to seeing you soon. Happy creating.